Hello, everyone, and welcome to another broadcast of Northwest Georgia Cryptics. I am Rick Weaver, your host. Tonight I'm joined again by Mr. Blake Duckworth, our co host. Blake, how's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. How about you, Ricky?
Doing good. Tonight we also
Yeah,
have our special guest, Mr. Chuck Turner, back on with us. Let me get him on here. Hello, Chuck. How's it going, buddy?
Hello, gentlemen.
how's it going, Chuck? You doing all right,
Going
buddy?
good, Blake.
Chuck, as I told you earlier, tonight we're going to be discussing a new sighting that was viewed by a man and his 14-year-old stepdaughter down on John's Mountain Range. Well, right there at the foot of John's Mountain, uh, at a boat dock that Blake and myself and my roommate Michael, we've all fished down there. Blake and I have had multiple encounters over on John's Mountain. Uh, and the post that we actually saw this from came from Expedition Bigfoot over Delaware, and we were surprised to see that there were like over 200 comments. We've lost Chuck.
Man down. But as always, guys, I hope everybody's doing well. As always, can't ask you enough. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, bell notification, like, and a comment. Go ahead, Ricky. Sorry.
No problem. As I started to say, we were surprised to see that they were over, I think, like 200 comments made about this sighting down on John's Mountain.
Yeah,
And
the thing about the area is, we didn't really get so. I've heard stories over the years about John's Mountain. They're not like any reported sightings online or anything like that. It's one of those things like there's not a lot of information on the area, but perfect habitat for them. Think back last year or year before, I think it was last year that David from Expedition Bigfoot over in Blue Ridge, the museum over there, he had went over there and put some trail cams up and stuff, and that's the first person, which I'm sure they've been another group do some research over there, but that was the first time I'd ever heard anybody, doing any research over there. And me and Ricky just kind of got the idea to, just kind of start going over there for that purpose. Because I grew up in the area, so did Ricky. It's a place that we visit quite a bit just to go to, not necessarily for that factor. And me and Ricky started going over there, and we haven't had like a whole lot of activity over there. But then again, we haven't spent a lot of time over there either. But the more people we talk to, the more stories, and it's one of those things you got to talk to people to find out their encounters. And that's that story. We've told it multiple times. The night that me and Ricky broke down over there, and just happened to knock on a random guy's door, and come to find out they're living on his property. And the more and more people we talk to, the more we find out that how many people actually have encounters over there. Then David posted that from Expedition Bigfoot the other night, and we just got to looking through the comments, and I was just blown away at the amount of people that have had mainly vocal encounters, vocal experiences, but lot of stories from over there. Which I knew they were there, and I knew that the stories were out there. It's just finding the stories and finding people willing to talk and share their experiences.
right, as Blake said, the first night that we were over there, we had an encounter there at um, Pilcher's Pond. There's no road that turns in there. It's blocked off. You have to get out and walk about a mile over to the pond area. Blake and I had started in there that night, the night that he mentioned about the vehicle tearing up on us, and we we encountered something paralleling us in the woods, up about 40 yards in the wood line. Never did show itself, but you could tell that it was bipedal, the way it walked, and also heavy footsteps. Um, we got up there about 300 yards, and the lights that we had with us weren't that good, and they started going out on us.
Very
So,
just eerie feeling. Just
oh
like
yeah,
we talk
yeah,
about all
yeah.
the time. No matter how brave you are, no matter whatever, there's just times that you just know that you just best just leave, and that was just one of those nights. I don't get those feelings very much, but I told Ricky, let's just go. I mean, it didn't feel right.
And that was the night we went back out, and Blake's vehicle tore up on us, and we had to pull in over there at the old boy or Girl Scout camp, and uh, lo and behold, the guy that's overseer over the camp over there, he came out and got talking to us, and Blake just fessed up and told him what we was doing over there, that we were over there, doing Bigfoot research, and Blake said, you may think we're crazy, and the guy says, why would I think you're crazy? He said, I've got pictures of them on trail cam on my property. So,
Look, that's worked out for me more. That has worked out more times for me than I can count. Just coming across somebody out, and we're out doing our thing, and just being honest with them. And I always think I'm gonna get like a goofy reaction, like, "Oh, this person's crazy." And just about every time it's happened, other than the time over in Blue Ridge, it's come out to be a cool story. I mean,
oh, Chuck, I don't apologize to you, bud. I have your shirt hanging here in the house. I still haven't got it mailed out.
Don't
I,
worry
I,
about it.
hey, I will get it mailed out to you, buddy. Uh,
Don't worry about it.
I've had Christmas season coming on, and half our workforce down there where I'm working at is quit. I was supposed to have today and tomorrow off. Well, lo and behold, I have to go in tomorrow and work. So
what time do you go in tomorrow?
I have to go in at 5 tomorrow,
So you don't get off till what, 10, 9?
9. So if you want to go down and do something tomorrow night, we'll gladly go.
You didn't call out. I didn't say that.
Hey, they hard one in today. He come in and stayed. They said 15 minutes and quit. So, and hey, I work in an auto parts store. I mean, it's more it's more mental than it is physical.
Oh yeah.
Uh, they will drive you crazy,
You
and
got to deal with the guys that don't know what they're coming in looking for.
hey, they'll bring in little bitty pieces of parts, lay them up on the
Yeah.
counter. I need the
You got
part that
one
goes
of
to this. Yeah, and you're standing there scratching your head. Well, buddy, if you could tell me, basically what
What
it
did this
goes to,
come off of?
I can look it up on the computer and find it.
them? It
Yeah,
ain't.
yeah.
It
What
ain't.
is?
It ain't
Yeah.
like it. It ain't like a starter off old Chevrolet 350. Is it?
Did
You
you
Oh
spot.
ever?
no, I'm telling you what,
You
man.
spot one of them things a mile long.
Hey, that's what I've got. That's what's in
Oh
my
yeah,
Tahoe, old 350.
buddy. I'm gonna
Well,
tell you, I'm kind of old school when it comes to vehicles. From 1985 back, if you bring me something in, I can pretty well tell you what it's gonna match up to, what it's gonna be.
Well, that
But
they're not
but
that much. They're not that much stuff on older vehicles either. It's pretty cut and dry. I mean, of
right, I
how
mean,
things work
now
and
you got camshaft positioners, you got starter relays, you got I God, I can just keep naming junk that you've got on these new ones that they come in and they'll bring you just little bitty pieces of stuff, and hey man, I gotta have this. Well, what does it go to? Well, I don't know. I think it controls something to do with the camshaft on it, or something to do with a starter on it, or a solenoid relay or oxygen sensor relay. It's crazy.
I read that story that y'all was talking about a while ago, and I tell you what, that man and his daughter, they had quite the little encounter, didn't they?
Oh yeah, yeah, sure did, sure did. I don't know if I
well,
would
and
have hung.
the thing that got me about it though is like, I don't know if you read the comments, but there were some people like questioning why they were down there catfishing at 40, 50-degree weather, and why did they stay around after the encounter? Like, you got to put yourself in that position. Like, I mean, maybe it didn't scare them. I fish and I fish. I fished in 30-degree weather with it raining. Okay, like I'm a diehard fisherman. So
I've had to bust the ice out of the eyes on my fishing rod before.
yep.
Hey, dude, I'm gonna tell you something. I have fished Lake Wise in Alabama. It's so cold that you've got a double jumpsuit on. I've had motorcycle helmet on with a face shield on, wearing a boggin now, one of those boggins with eye holes and
Yeah,
nose hole, and ice be freezing on the outside of the motorcycle helmet, and me still down there fishing.
I lived in Michigan for about 4 years, and it wasn't nothing for us to go out and drive out on the ice and
Oh yeah,
park
you
and
got used to ice fishing.
dig a hole and go at it that way. I'd pull out on the lake, and I'd open my truck door, and I'd take my auger and I'd bore a hole right there beside my truck door. I'd hang a 5-gallon bucket off of my rearview mirror and sit there and catch bluegill, fill a 5-gallon bucket half full in about an hour and a half.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
and people that don't fish, especially when it comes to largemouth, winter times when you catch your monsters.
Well, it's the same. It's the same way with catfish.
Mm-hmm.
Most record-breaking catfish are
Are
caught
caught during the
December,
winter time.
January, and February.
Yep. I like catfish on the Tennessee River. I like fishing for blue cats, but there I
Have you
guy I
met?
watch Chat Cats Fishing. He's a guide on Tennessee River in Chattanooga. I mean his three best blue cats have come out of wintertime. One of
Yep.
them was 100. One of them was over 100 pounds. One of them was, well, all three were over 100 pounds.
You ever watch that kayak catfishman?
Yeah. Yep.
He fishes on the Tennessee River.
Yep. He fishes Loudon a lot.
Yeah.
That's one of the main lakes he fishes, Loudon, and sometimes Watts Bar.
Yep.
That's where my brother Timmy was at up there at Loudon. It's been back, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. He's up there, had his bass boat up there fishing, and ended up someone off of one of the tall banks in there. Somebody actually shot his bass boat, shot a hole through the front of his bass boat, and him in it fishing.
That's like talking about big fish during the wintertime. I mean, that's when the lake record at Chickamauga was caught for as largemouth. I mean, was dead wintertime. I mean, which Chickamauga is known for big largemouth since they put the F1 hybrids in there. But every one I see caught that's at least 10 plus is caught during wintertime or early spring.
Yep.
I mean, there's some big ones caught during the summertime, but you don't see a lot of
Well, Chuck,
10
you
plus.
mentioned something to me.
Do what?
Blake, you've lost your vocal there, bud.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can now.
Okay. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, okay. Technology for you.
Sorry.
Yep.
You get me talking about fishing. I'll talk for days. Sorry. I'll stop on the fishing aspect.
You mentioned something to me about a conversation you had yesterday. What's going on, buddy?
I talked with Matt Pruitt for about an hour and a half yesterday. He's I don't know if y'all know Matt or know who he is or anything, but he produces a lot of podcasts for some pretty big name folks. He produces Cliff and Bobo's podcast.
Yep.
He's originally from Helen, and well, he's from Saltee, but might as well say Helen. But me and him had a conversation yesterday. He's done a lot of research up there where I had my encounter, and he told me that where I had that encounter did not surprise him even a tiny bit. But he also gave me a couple of more places in White County that I may visit here pretty soon. One of them is very accessible by road, but it's a road that's hardly ever traveled. It's a public road, but nobody lives back there. Nobody goes back there. And he told me about a pretty good place. He told me not to mention it, in public, but if I wanted to take some folks, he'd be fine with it. But it's right in his backyard of where he grew up. And where my uncle had his sighting is right across the mountain from where Matt was telling me about where he had his first encounter. So that was a pretty interesting conversation. Yes, Matt, I don't know if y'all have ever listened to him very much or not, but that dude he's stupid smart.
Yeah, he's super intelligent.
He is crazy intelligent. And his daddy was a doctor, so might be. It's got an Amber Alert I had to turn off.
Yeah, I think we all got it.
I got it about 15 minutes ago, and they're going to send it every 15 minutes now.
Didn't you say somebody was going to talk to him about us, Ricky? I don't want to say too much, but...
Yeah, I'd ask Chuck about asking him.
Okay.
About maybe coming on the show one night.
Yeah, we got off the phone real quick. Me and my dad were driving down to Sandy Springs yesterday. He had a doctor's appointment. He had a doctor's appointment in Sandy Springs yesterday, so we were headed down there, and I was kind of getting to the point where I needed to start listening to directions, so I had to end our conversation pretty quickly, so I didn't get to say anything to him. But I'll talk with him. He gave me his cell phone number, and told me give him a call anytime. He's more than happy to talk to me.
Chuck, buddy, there's your shirt. I will get that thing mailed out to you just as quick as I can.
All right, thank you, Ricky.
Hey, where's my jacket at, Ricky?
Hey, they're also working on some jackets. I'm also gonna send you a jacket too, Chuck. They'll have our logo. Right there's the logo on the back of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought they turned out pretty good. But yes, Blake, they are working on those for me too. But I will get them out to y'all guys.
I don't know if y'all know this about Matt is one of the, I won't call him one of the head guys, but he's one of the more active members of the North American Wood Ape Conservancy. And I don't know how much y'all know about that organization, but their entire mission is their primary mission is to harvest a type specimen. And their secondary mission, and what Matt was telling me yesterday, he said he'd much rather a log truck do it. But if it came right down to it, he's hoping that it's either a log truck or somebody protecting their own home. He said he would hate to, have to be the guy that ever had to pull the trigger on one of them things. But, that's their primary goal in that Area X out in Oklahoma is to harvest a type specimen. And, we talked about that for a little while, how hard it would actually be to pull the trigger.
Well, that's what you hear a lot of times is, say, a hunter out in the woods and, just happen to have one in his crosshairs. And just, that moment, just they're not able to do it for some reason.
Well, it's kind of like that. You ever heard that old Jerry Clower joke about the coon hunting monkey? Marcel told him to put that thing up. It's too much like folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
what
kind
you hear.
of the way
they'll get a glimpse of the face and they just say it looks too human or, for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I wouldn't do it. You know, I until I'm in that position, I I don't
Well,
think I do know this. If there had already been a type specimen, there's absolutely no way I would ever pull the trigger. But up until that point, I don't know what I'd do.
well, we're a no-kill group. So, well,
Yeah.
what that means is that's not our purpose. We don't go out with guns like
I
hunting
full,
them. But by all means, if you ever got in a situation where your life felt threatened or something like that, by all means, do what you have to do to protect yourself. I mean,
well, here's the only argument I have with that, Blake. And I fully respect anybody that wants to, just absolutely say they'll never kill one unless their life's in danger. I fully understand that. But until one is harvested,
well, of course,
science
yeah,
is
science
not
will
going to
acknowledge
accept it.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Science is not going to accept it. And I believe
Well,
that
but myself, I
once
don't want to
science,
be that guy. I
no,
don't want to
I
be
don't,
that guy. That's
and
not my purpose in this. I don't need science to tell me that it's real. I mean,
yeah. But on the other hand, too, I think that if we had a type specimen, then some laws, some conservation and protection laws
oh
could be
yes,
enacted.
definitely.
You know, um, and here's the other thing: who's to say that some crazy district attorney somewhere ain't gonna charge somebody with homicide if they kill one of them things?
Hmm.
I mean,
Especially in today's world, I mean,
That's right. I
exactly.
mean, guys, that's truth. Uh, that's one reason, Chuck, that I guess I am more to the no kill side of it, is because this day and time, you don't know. You don't know what somebody's going to
yeah,
do,
well, especially if they tested the DNA, in which we have DNA that is part mainly human with something else. What if they do a DNA test? It comes back mainly human. They're like, oh, homicide. I mean,
Well, here's my thing on that, Blake. I think that DNA has already come back
yeah, yeah,
part
we
human.
have DNA. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. We have DNA.
I don't believe that the DNA that the whole study that Melba Ketchum did. I think that there was too many flaws in her method to say anything about that. But who's the professor up in the Northeast? The doctor up in the Northeast?
Catch them.
No, it's a man. I can't think of his name, but he's got access to a very high quality DNA lab, and he has tested several specimens. See, the thing about it is, you have to put primers into that DNA to make the DNA replicate, so that you can actually study it. We don't have a primer for Sasquatch,
Yeah.
so the only primer that they have is human. Well, the only DNA that's going to replicate is
Is the
going to be DNA that is the part of it that
right,
coincides
human
with our
based, right,
DNA.
right.
So that's one thing that I can't figure out is why have they not tried another primate primer? And they haven't. Nobody has tried an ape primer, an orangutan primer, a chimpanzee primer. Uh, and I don't know why. I don't know why they haven't done that yet.
Well, I
Because
believe my thoughts on that
hey
one is
hey
I
guys,
think,
I've got to run in and grab my charger real quick. My phone's about to die. I'll be right back.
uh,
all right,
my deal on that, Chuck, is I think they're actually afraid to. I believe that it would actually prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt, instead of getting results back as it being a what they call that an unknown primate. I'm afraid, I think that the government and mainstream scientists are afraid to replicate this DNA to the point that they could actually tell us what it is.
Well, the thing about it is the people that are actually doing the research are people in the Bigfoot community who want to prove it. And that's what I'm saying. I can't figure out why I mean, I'm just a dummy from Hartville, Georgia, but it seems to me like there's still enough DNA left. I'm sure somebody's got some somewhere that could be, well, he gone.
Yeah, we lost Blake here.
um, I still feel like that somebody's got DNA that could be tested and that they could try to use different primers besides the human primer to try to replicate some of that DNA. And I may be talking nonsense right now. I'm just talking from my understanding of what I've listened to and what I've read.
Right. Well, you were talking. You mentioned the doctor from. You talking about the one from? Oh God. I think it meant Idaho.
No, I ain't talking about Meldrum.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This guy is from up in New England somewhere. Todd Dissatel. That's his name. Todd Dissatel. Blake, I remembered his name.
What was his name?
Todd Dissatel.
Yeah.
We're getting feedback through your phone. Ricky, see if you can hear yourself.
Can y'all guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
We got you now, Blake. I was hearing myself coming through your phone.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, could you hear us? Can you hear us now?
We hear you fine, Blake.
I can't hear y'all.
We hear you.
What's going on?
I don't know what's
Can you hear
going
us
on,
now?
Blake. Can you hear us now, Blake?
Boys, I got to get my deal. Hang on.
Blake, can you hear? All right. He gone. He left again, Ricky.
Oh, man down.
Yeah.
But no, I'm telling you, I don't know. Several scientists over the years, uh, including the one from Dr. Meldrum. I actually saw
Does it still sound weird?
no,
No, it sounds
we got
fine
you
now,
now.
Blake.
Okay.
But no, I actually saw a film where Dr. Meldrum here a few months ago, he and another guy were up in Canada. I can't
You know
remember.
when that was filmed, Ricky?
Uh-uh.
Like 1998 that was filmed.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Well, the first time I saw it was just a few weeks ago.
Me too. I had
And
never seen it until about 2 weeks ago. It popped up on my YouTube feed.
right. Well, they claimed that they had actually gotten DNA where one had actually stepped on a board
on a nail board.
Right,
Yep.
that's left in front of the cabin. And they claim that they actually got uh, uh, flesh off the nails and also blood. And it actually came back as being a human based with non primate.
Well, it
So,
was the what we might have watched two different things because the one I watched um, said that it was too degraded. They didn't get any DNA out of it.
well, no, there was two segments to that thing. I
Okay,
watched both of them.
I might have missed one of them.
And they said they was able to get flesh off the nail heads and off the board and
Well,
was able to get. Go
that
ahead,
guy
Chuck.
that guy that I was talking about a while ago, Todd Dissatel, he's on that video that you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they said they were able to get flesh and blood type off the board, and that it had come back as being a human species uh, with non uh,
Like an unknown primate.
unknown primate. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I tell you what, that was some pretty scenery on that.
Oh God, yeah, I'd love to go there.
Yeah, me too.
Sure would.
Any of the boreal forests up in the north are just beautiful. I've spent some time in that latitude, I guess you would call it, and that's some beautiful country. I wouldn't want to live there, but it's pretty to look at.
Say,
freezing cold in the wintertime and mosquitoes and black flies eating you up in the summertime.
well, I'll tell you what I done. I actually picked a guy up years ago that was hitchhiking. Turned out he was a college professor he was from Canada, but he had hitchhiked. His wife had passed away a few months before, so he decided he was going to set out and hike the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
So he hitchhiked from up there all the way down here to Georgia, and I picked him up and actually carried him up to Springer Gap where the trailhead starts, and turned the guy out. Well, I had a very good conversation with him on the way over there, and he was telling me about the black flies and all. And it was spring of the year when he come down here to hike this thing. Actually not even spring yet. It was still cold down here. They were still ice in the mountains. And he said the reason that he had started his treks early, was to where he could actually beat the black fly infestation up at Bridgeport, Maine, where that thing ends.
Yep. Yeah, you get up north and them black flies will eat you slap up.
It's kind of like out west, beautiful country, but I wouldn't want to live there.
A good place to visit.
Yep.
You know, I tell people.
Of course, most people probably feel that way about our area too. I mean, especially with our bipolar weather.
I tell you, a lot of folks fuss about heartwarming, and I tell people, I've been to 43 countries in my life, and I wound up living 7 miles from where I grew up because I didn't find nowhere better.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, right, guys. I've been all over the West. Back years ago, I run a taxidermy studio that afforded me the time to get out and do some traveling, and I traveled all over Wyoming, Montana, all that area out in there, up into Idaho. Love the area out there. Love to visit, but I don't know. I'm like Blake. I wouldn't want to live out there.
Yeah. Well, I've lived in Kansas, and I didn't leave nothing when I left out there, so I ain't got no reason to go back.
And I'm gonna tell you what, all I found out in there was Interstate 70, and that thing beat you to death trying to drive it. So
we was coming. Me and a friend of mine decided we was going to drive back to Fort Riley from Fort Irwin, California. And when you leave Denver, you could put a brick on the gas pedal and tie the steering wheel down and take a
never even
3-hour
go
nap
straight.
before you ever got to a curve. That's the most boring road I've ever been on. Now, I-70 through Colorado is
Right.
absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, it is.
But once you leave Denver and head down into Kansas, that's the most boring. Like it seemed like 96 hours of my life. I think it takes like 13 hours to get from Denver to Fort Riley. No, 8 hours to get from Denver to Fort Riley, and it seemed like 4 days.
That's
It
what it
really
is
did.
out there. And man, it's nothing. I mean, I don't know. Montana. I drove from West Yellowstone, Montana, up to Butte, Montana, and that is the flattest land that I have ever seen in my life up through there.
Until you
Now,
get to Butte.
yeah, until you get to Butte, yeah, sure is. Now Butte, I tell you what, west uh, one of the prettiest places that I saw out there was there where Mammoth Hot Springs is at. You go right on above Mammoth up there to Fort Yellowstone, and that's probably one of the prettiest little towns that I've ever saw in my life right there. And the day that I was out there, well, actually, we spent about 3 days out there. But man, they were elk that a man would have died to have killed that came down where the campus is at there. These elk were just wandering around like dogs. Dude, it was amazing to me, you know, from an old boy from Georgia to see something like that.
Yeah. My sister actually lives in Butte.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
I've never got to. I've been to Louisiana, every state in between here and there, and all the way up the east coast of Maine and Tennessee. That's pretty much it. I've never been anywhere mid east, midwest, mid anything, west anything.
Well, I tell a man right now, Western states are beautiful. Man needs to go visit and travel out there a little. But as far as living out there, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
That's like Washington State. I love pictures and just. I've never been, of course, but from what I see visually, I would love to go there. But just I wouldn't. I mean, I can't say because I've never been. I wouldn't live there, but I just know about the West Coast, and that's just not a place I really want to
Washington
visit.
State, I
So,
tell you this, I was out there in the 1980s, and Washington State was beautiful back then. Even from over into the Olympic part of Washington, it was beautiful back then. But they tell me now that there's so many homeless people and all out there now that it's nothing to what it used to be.
well,
Well,
it's like I mean, talking about homeless people. Have you looked in Calhoun here lately?
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's
it's
getting like
wild.
that everywhere. I mean, you know, I've been here since 2008, 2009, and like, you know, homeless has always been a thing here and drugs and everything, but you see it now. Like you see it on the road, you see it on the sidewalks, you see them walking through parking lots. I mean, it
yeah.
ain't nothing I've seen in the last couple of weeks just sitting at a red light, just somebody just messed up out of their mind, just sitting there on the side of the road. Like, you know, you didn't used to see that. I mean, it was here, but you didn't see it.
If there's any homeless folks in Hartwell, I don't know about it. So we don't have that problem here.
Well, man, we do here in Calhoun. It's
And it's
unreal.
a small town. I mean, you know, I don't know what our population is exactly, but I don't think it's any more than 20 something thousand. I mean,
I think the last census is about 32,000 people.
32,000,
Yeah,
Is that in the city or in the county?
probably county. I would imagine the county because our city ain't very big.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably countywide, Gordon County.
I think Hartwell's a little bit small. I think Hartwell's about 27,000. Hart County.
Yeah,
Hartwell itself's only about, I think, 6,500 people.
That sounds about right for here. I mean,
Yeah,
'cause
that was probably
our
about.
city isn't very big at all. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably our city itself is probably a 10 mile radius. I mean, if that, probably not even that.
One other thing that Matt was telling me about yesterday was he said that he had done quite a bit of research up around J and Blue Ridge. That's kind of y'all's neck of the woods.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And he said that he has had some amazing experiences up in the Cohutta Mountains.
Oh, we've
yeah.
had some great vocals up there, up on top of Blue Ridge WMA. I mean, I wouldn't say the best vocals that we've ever heard because they were distant compared to some of the vocals that we've heard that have been super close. But the first night we went up there and stayed at Hickory Flat Cemetery, I mean, it was pretty much all night long vocals.
Yeah, that's the night that Blake and I heard the 2 800-pound owls. Man, I'm telling you, it sounded just like a barn owl. It sure did. Sounded just like that, all except you could tell that whatever it was had some.
It wasn't no owl. I can promise you that.
No, it wasn't no owl.
That owl could have picked us up and dragged us off if it was an owl.
I want y'all to do something when we get off of here. I want y'all to look up, and y'all might want to write this down. Tuvan is Tuvan throat singers. And I want y'all to listen to some of the sounds that they can make. And
what was that again?
It's Tuvan, I think it's Tuvan, throat singers. And if you'll listen to them, I was listening to a podcast that Ron Moorhead did, and he was playing some of his Sierra sound. And what he kept talking about was undertones and overtones. And what it is, our voice, the way our voice box is created, naturally, we speak one frequency at a time. Well, these Tuvan throat singers have trained their voices
multiple frequencies
to where they can harmonize with themselves. It's crazy to hear these people do it. But what Ron Moorhead was talking about was the undertones and the overtones that were that they found when they digitally analyzed the Sierra sounds.
Correct.
And it had those same characteristics, which I thought was pretty daggone cool. For people to do that, it takes a lifetime of training. And really, the only people who are ever trained to do it are these people. They're from a small part of Russia that's real close to it's in Siberia and Mongolia. That's where those people are from. And it's just amazing to hear them. I'll send both of y'all. Blake, do you get if I send you a message on Facebook, do you get it or does your wife?
Yeah, we both get it.
Okay. I know y'all's account is together. That was the reason I asked. But I'll send both of y'all a link here in a little bit, and I want y'all to listen to the sounds that these guys can make. It's just amazing to listen to them.
And I mean, just talking about the Sasquatch aspect, as far as like their vocal range. I mean, I can't tell you how many different sounds that we've heard over the years that you could tell it wasn't what it sounded like, as far as the actual, species or whatever. But just like just as far as mimicking our howls. I mean, one of my most memorable howls that we've ever gotten was the one that sounded just like Ricky when it howled back. I mean, it mimicked it so perfectly. I mean, it could have not resembled his howl in the way it sounded, and even it sounded like Ricky was on the other side howling back at himself.
Well, I tell you, it's funny that y'all talked about the 800-pound owl because I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and this guy was talking about hearing an 800-pound frog.
An 800-pound frog.
Yeah, you know
Wow.
the sound that a frog makes.
Right.
But just
But yeah, he was
But
talking about an 800-pound frog.
that's the whole thing. These things can mimic, I think, anything in nature that they want to mimic, they
Well,
can.
if you think about it, Ricky, if we spent that much time outside and our job was an ambush predator,
you're gonna get very
what
good at calling.
what better way to disguise your movement than to sound like something else?
True.
You know, even if I'm turkey hunting and I'm walking through the woods, I'm calling as I'm walking
Well,
because
that's what we do
a
as
person
hunters.
walking and a turkey walking sound a lot alike.
Well,
Right.
that's the reason we do certain type of calls as hunters to call certain animals into a location.
Yep, we're acting as ambush predators. Yeah,
The only difference is, boys, we don't have the size or the mass that these creatures have.
Hold on 1 second, guys.
Okay.
I don't know why my Wi-Fi ain't working.
All right, guys, my wife had to ask me a question.
Oh, no problem.
But yeah, he was talking about that 800-pound frog he heard that night, and it was what he had set up some recorders behind this lady had told him that she'd had been having some activity around her house, and he set up some recorders, and he said that he had one of the sounds that he had on his recorder was a tree frog, and he said it sounded like a tree frog, and then he said. And then about 15 seconds after the tree frog shut up, he heard an 800-pound frog.
Wow. Well, I know you're talking about the Cohutta Wilderness up there, Chuck. That's one place that I'm familiar with from one end to the other. Um, that's 48,000 acres of nothing but wilderness up there. Uh, there's only, I think, one spot that you can actually ride horse. You can ride horses in on it. The rest of it is just foot travel.
Yeah.
No type of motorized vehicles. Nothing back in there. So you get. I used to frequent a place up there uh, called Beach Bottoms. Beach Bottoms, a lot of people are not familiar with the whole history behind Beach Bottoms, but Beach Bottoms was actually uh, owned by the Conasauga Lumber Company back in from I think like in the 1920s to the 1950s,
Uh-huh.
and before they sold it out to the government. My dad actually worked up there, and my grandfather drove a log train, off that mountain up there uh, for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Uh, and both of them told me, and my grandfather was full-blooded Cherokee Indian, in which uh, he had a lot of beliefs about these creatures, but he said that there was things in them mountains up there that a man would not believe. Uh, he said there was creatures up there that if you saw them with your own eyes, you wouldn't believe seeing them.
Yeah.
Uh, and these were creatures that he had dealings with growing up in the Carolinas from just a young boy on up. And they lived, I'll tell you one, for instance, they lived right there at Beach Creek in an old house. There was a big rock there, a big long flat rock. Rock area is still there. Uh, their house was built on the edge of that big rock platform. And he said that there was many nights that he could hear these things down in the creek beds below where they lived at. And he said where they were fishing or what they were doing, he didn't know. But there's like 15, 20 rock stacks that I found after my son got on up 10, 12-year old, and I was taking him, back in the mountains up there, that we found rock stacks below where Grandpa's old house was at that were just perfect rock stacks up about probably 3 to 4 foot high, where these things have stacked rocks up. And like I say, we found maybe 15 different rock stacks like that all up and down that Beach Creek. So
Yeah.
if where these things were just in there stacking rock or what they were doing, when Grandpa lived up there, I don't know. But
That's something, if we could truly get answers on of why they leave structures and stuff like that. I mean, that if we, I mean, of course we have theories of why they do this and do that, but if we had true answers, that could answer, just that alone could teach us so much about them.
Even before that, Blake, we have a theory that they do it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know of a report that's ever been given of anybody seeing them build these structures.
Exactly.
We're pretty sure that's where it comes from, but again, it's a hypothesis, but we don't know that.
Yeah, that's exactly true.
But you get back out in areas like the wilderness up there, Coda Wilderness. You back out in there 5, 6 miles, maybe 7, 10 miles, away from anybody, and you start finding stuff like this. Who in the world is going to hike that far back in there to play a prank on somebody?
You did. It wouldn't necessarily be a prank. You were back there. I mean, that's the bad part about it. You can't. Things make sense and don't make sense of why humans would be in certain areas, but if you come across something, who's to say somebody else didn't or wasn't there? Or I mean, that's my problem with structures and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of it don't make sense why a human would do it. And that's where, the theory of it being, done by a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot. But you can't ever completely rule out human activity.
And it's the same way. And I don't want to pour water on anybody's fire, but it's the same way with howls. People hear these howls. You're back there listening for them, and you might have made a howl 30 seconds before, and somebody might have thought that you were a Sasquatch, and they might be howling back at you.
Y'all are both confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you something right now. When you actually encounter these creatures, like Blake and I have over the years.
Yeah, there are a couple times that I know for sure that it wasn't. Yeah. Yeah, like that night that we got that howl and it sounded like Ricky.
More than a couple of times.
Yeah.
They weren't nobody there. We could, they were nobody there.
I was generalizing whenever I said that. I wasn't pointing at it, y'all.
No, I get what you're saying. Yes.
There's,
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. Exactly.
A lot of people think that they're the only person in the woods.
If you're there, there's just as much possibility of somebody else being there.
Yep.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I'm just saying from I've never met a person that can replicate the deepness of what these creatures can do.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got no doubt that there's, when somebody hears something,
they're legit howls, and then you put in the category of
questionable
and misidentification.
Or just questionable, yeah.
Yeah.
If
like
something don't,
stuff like the Sahara sounds. I mean, that's been analyzed, and I mean, we know vocal range. We know what humans' frequencies, where our voices can produce, and stuff like that. And when you have data right in front of your face that is pretty much saying that this is not possibly human, then there you go.
Guys,
It's more.
I've been close enough to these creatures to where when they howl out at you or scream or whatever, that you could actually feel it vibrate in your chest. I mean, it is
Yeah.
that deep, and you know when you can do that and
Yeah.
you feel that, you know that that's not another human doing that.
Yeah, it's like the first time I was ever out on the observation post whenever the Air Force was dropping bombs and they dropped a 2,000-pound bomb out in front of us. And that's a feeling, not even a sound. That's a feeling from a sound is what the greatest impact is. It's the feeling that you get from that sound.
Right, that's what I say about these creatures. You know, you
Yep.
take when you're that close to one. Get Mr. Blake back on here. When you're
Sorry.
that close to one, and you can feel that vibrate in your chest
Yeah.
and make the hair stand up on you, you know that there's something there. You
Yeah.
know that there's something there besides a human being out there in those woods with you.
Blake, I don't know if you heard me or not, but I compared that to first time I was ever on an observation post and the Air Force dropped a 2,000-pound bomb. And I told Ricky, I said, it's not the sound, it's the feeling that you get from
Yeah,
the sound.
exactly.
You know, there's nothing. It's the sound that's doing it, but it's not
It's the physical effects from the sound.
it's not the sound that gets you. It's the feeling from the sound that gets you.
Yep.
Last time y'all went out, how'd y'all do?
When was the last time we went out, Ricky? It's been a while. We haven't been out doing much stuff here recently. Ricky's been busy. I've been busy. Just our schedules never line up. Every time we plan something, Ricky either falls asleep.
Yeah, the last time we were going out here a couple of weeks ago, I came in. I was dead tired. I sat down on the couch. Um, I told my roommate Michael. I told him he must wake me up here an hour or so. Me and Blake's supposed to go out tonight, and I woke up I think about 7:30, 8 o'clock the next morning. So
You got stood up, didn't you, Blake?
yeah, he
Wouldn't be
did.
the first. Wouldn't be the first time. Not throwing
Probably,
nobody under the bus over here.
probably won't be the last either, will it?
Hey, you've done the
Probably
same
won't be the last.
thing. You've done the same thing to me, Blakester.
Hey, life gets in the way sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. We had Thanksgiving with my uh, dad's family up in Cleveland on Thanksgiving Day, and I asked one of my cousins if he knew Matt, and one of my other cousins, her husband was sitting right next to me, and when I asked Chase, I asked him, I said, "Do you know Matt Pruitt from Helen?" Chase said, "No, I don't know him." And Daniel, my cousin's husband, sitting right next to me, he said, "I graduated with it." So he was telling me, uh, you know, he was talking about how smart Matt was, and he's a great musician as well. And I think that might be part of what took him. He lives in Nashville now. I think that might be part of the reason he lives in Nashville. I don't know that for a fact, but uh, he was telling me he works about 3.5 jobs right now. So
Well, guys,
he's
I'll
a
tell you what. I've been doing my job down here. Been trying to get a new wood shop started up here at the house, and it's took every bit of my time, spare time, doing all this. Uh, I've not been able to do anything.
My pro's up.
No, you ain't
No,
froze, Blake.
no, you ain't grown up.
That's
Ricky,
weird.
I'm gonna show you something. This is a drop from a cutting that I'm doing on my scroll saw right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a drop from it.
Wow.
You guys are froze up, so I can't see anything.
That's one
Can't
cut.
see us? One cut. Hold that back up there, Chuck. Man, that's awesome.
That's part of it. This is a drop out of it of what I'm
Right.
cutting. What I'm cutting is the face of Jesus. I'll send you a picture of it when we get off here.
I'd do that. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I sure would. I just got through buying up a bunch of new equipment. I I finally got me a planer. I do a lot of work with pallet wood, uh,
Yeah,
and reclaimed wood,
yeah,
and I was needing a planer for this, and
Yeah, Ricky's actually built 3 buildings out of reclaimed wood.
yeah, yeah. I've got a big 16 by 24 foot workshop out here that I actually went down and tore down an old store that had been here in Gordon County for probably close to 100 years, and I went down and they sold the property that the store was on to the county, and the county give me 45 days to get the building tore down and get out down there. So I went down and tore it down and brought it back up here and rebuilt everything back just about to the same point that the store building actually looked like, other than I done a barn type, or a barn type roof on it, and
yeah.
I've still got the old original swinging wood doors that was on the front of the store, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
You've redone most of your inside of your house with reclaim, hadn't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The biggest part of my house I've redone in it.
My uncle got me a 12-foot long, 15 3/4 inch wide, 3/4 inch thick piece of poplar.
Oh wow!
And that is one of the prettiest boards I've ever seen in my life.
How how thick did you say it was?
It's 3/4. I cut
Three
this
quarter
Georgia.
inch.
I cut that Georgia out of it.
Oh man, you done a fantastic job. How do you do yours? Do you use templates to draw yours out, or?
I've got a little it's like one of them CNC vinyl cutters,
Yeah.
Right.
and I designed my pattern on my computer, and then I use contact paper from a Dollar Tree, like shelf lining paper, and that's what I cut my patterns out of.
So you make your own templates
Well,
pretty much.
the
Yeah, I make
CNC
my own
you've got,
pattern.
what kind of
It's called a silhouette.
the CNC that you've got?
It's just all
The
it cuts is
CNC that
vinyl.
you've got, Chuck.
All it cuts is vinyl. It's
What kind of price?
honey, how much are them silhouettes? Low end. They probably, Ricky, I'd say they're probably $200 and up.
For the machine itself?
Yeah. She found this one used, I believe. My wife did, and I learned how to use it.
How hard are those things to learn to use?
The 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 actual machine itself, you just feed the you got these mats
Mm-hmm.
right here, and you just put your vinyl on them mats, and mats are sticky, and you just feed it in, and the software is real easy to learn. There's all kind of YouTube videos on it and everything.
We are talking technology and computers with Ricky.
We was. We moved on. Well, my wife said that they're like $230 and up.
Oh, okay. That's
So
not
they're
real
not.
bad.
No, and I mean I can cut if I can get a picture of it. I can. It's got a what they call a trace function is one of the
Right.
functions on the program.
Right.
So you can take a line drawing or a any type of line drawing, and it'll trace. You can adjust the parameters on it and get a good trace on the lines, and just save that, and then it'll cut that right out.
Huh. Well, I've actually been thinking about. I've been looking at the CNCs that actually you have the router that attaches to them to do the actual wood cutting with.
Oh yeah,
That's what I've been looking at to buy.
I want one of them Glowforge lasers.
I've got a friend of mine. He and his wife are fixing to purchase one. I think she said that the one they're purchasing is gonna run them around $3,000.
Yeah, they're high. They're real high.
But I'm intending on having one of those CNCs, like I said, with the I want one with the actual router on it, where I can
Yeah,
actually do the wood cutting itself.
yeah. Well, I've got a Delta scroll saw. Um, the thing that I'm cutting out right now took me about 3 hours to prep the wood and get my pattern on it and get the holes drilled, and then I'll spend probably 8 or 9 hours just on the saw cutting it out.
Right.
That cut right there that I showed you a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
that was nearly an hour long cut right there.
Dude, that's awesome.
Makes your neck hurt after a little while.
But I'm actually wanting to get in doing some. I'm wanting to cut out. I'm wanting to do some uh, Bigfoot cutouts, but I'm wanting to do the 4 by 8 foot full 4 by 8 foot sheets.
Yeah, I cut a little small Bigfoot about like that out of aluminum with my scroll saw, and I glued it to the side of my scroll saw over here. I got a little Bigfoot glued to the side of my scroll saw.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm wanting to get into the deal of cutting out some of the full body 4 by 8 foots.
yeah.
Uh, which I've got basically about anything I need to do it with right now. Um, I still got to get a joiner. That's one thing I got to get, and uh, basically that's about it. I need a good joiner, and
I got a nickname for them
I guess
joiners.
that's about all. Huh?
I got a nickname for them joiners.
What's that?
Knuckle eaters.
Yeah, oh yeah. They'll get you, no doubt.
That's the most dangerous in a wood shop. That's the most dangerous piece of equipment in a wood shop.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all. I sure wouldn't. I've got a 4 foot by 8 foot table saw set up. Uh, that is an awesome saw. I love it, but that thing you don't want to go out there and be half asleep and try to work with it,
Yeah.
because you'll end up missing some body parts.
Have you seen them? Have you seen them? What are they called? Like it's a quick stop or something like that. Saws. Have you seen
Uh,
them table saws?
I don't think so.
This guy was
Talk about the
feeding.
ones that won't touch you.
Yeah, this guy fed a hot dog into that thing, and it almost destroys the whole bottom end of the saw when it does it. It's a rebuildable cartridge that you replace, but it didn't even nick that hot dog.
It stops instantly.
I mean, it's dead stop, just like that.
Huh. Who are they put out by?
I can't. I can't remember the name of them, Ricky, right off the top of my head. It's like Quick Stop or Rip Stop or something like that.
No, I haven't saw one. I know Blake's dad talking to that. He's actually missing what, one or two fingers?
Yeah, that was cutting metal though.
Yeah, that was due to a saw accident though.
My
Yeah.
granddaddy used to work at the flooring mill up in Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
and he run a resaw. And them boards would come through, and that saw would come down and cut square the ends of them off.
Right.
And his glasses fell off. He reached for his glasses and lost a finger. Well, about 3 or 4 years later, he called my grandma from the hospital again, told her he was in the hospital or at the hospital. And she said, "What you doing at the hospital?" He said, "My glasses fell off again."
Oh no.
He lost another finger.
Good God. About the biggest mistake I ever made. My grandsons had a python in a big 120, I think 125-gallon aquarium here at the house, and my son stopped by one evening with a white rat and told me, said, "Dad, I ain't got time to feed that snake, and it's hungry. He said, I want you to feed it." So he didn't tell me to take this thing out and put it like in a tote or something to feed it. So I just left the thing in the aquarium in there, and I go in there and open this lid back, and dump this rat over in the aquarium with a snake. Well, when I did, there was a piece of cardboard fell and hit the bottom of the aquarium, and like an idiot, I reach in to get the piece of cardboard between the rat and the snake, and when I did, I come back with a snake fangs deep buried in my arm, and here I am standing there with a snake, halfway out of the aquarium, the other part of it still dragging in the aquarium, and this thing buried fangs deep in my arm. And that kind of taught me a lesson on that deal.
Yeah. I tell you what, them things about like old king snake. If he gets a hold of you, he gonna bring blood.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And them,
I actually
them
had to take I actually had to take and grab this thing by the head and squeeze its head and pull its fangs out of my arm.
yeah,
And son, I'm telling you what, you talking about a. Needless to say, I broke out in a cold sweat.
they ain't poisonous, but that don't stop them from having a mouthful of teeth.
Right.
You got that? You got that right.
Oh, that's one thing I don't
You
do is
got that
snake.
right.
The snakes don't
Oh,
bother me a bit. I'll put one in a sleeping bag with me. You let me walk into a spider web in the dark, you
you
see
gonna hear me
somebody cut.
scream like a little girl.
You see somebody cut a fool. I can't stand spiders.
Well,
Chuck,
I should
you and
say
I have got a lot in common, buddy.
it's not that
I'm
I don't mind snakes. It's just like here, like anytime you see a snake and you're not able to identify it right off the bat, we have some very poisonous snakes, and that's just the first thing that goes through my mind when I see a snake. Once I figure out what it is, it don't bother me as bad. But I'm the
When
same
you
way about spiders, though. Like I don't do spiders.
when you first see a snake, no matter what it is, it's a copperheaded water rattler, ain't it?
Right? Yep. It's gonna kill me.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
Blake's brother stands probably 6 inches taller than Blake. I'm about
Huh?
3 inches taller than
I'm
Blake.
taller than my brother.
I thought Jonathan was taller than you.
No.
Well, he's a big muscled up guy, big belly. I laughed at him out here one day beside my building. He was out there, and I had no. My son had no trash can sitting there where he'd bought a bunch of stuff out of a storage building. He thrown a bunch of stuff out of that old trash can. We was out there cleaning up. And Jonathan pulls the lid off that trash can. When he does, he jumps back and does this little dance that I could not replicate, screaming. I was on the ground rolling and laughing, and it was a king snake. What it was inside the trash can. But he
Yeah.
pitched one a hell of a fit. I laughed. I thought I would fall over.
I had to reach up there and turn the volume down. My wife said we had to change the subject. If his last name's Snake, she don't want nothing to do with it. Live snake, dead snake, poisonous snake, non-poisonous snake.
I'm gonna tell you
His
something.
last name's Snake. She don't want nothing to do with it.
Exactly right.
I'm pretty much the same way. Like I said, I just look at them like they're all poisonous for the most part.
Snakes don't bother me. Spiders, on the other hand, dude, I was over on John's Mountain one weekend, deer hunting. Went in there right at daylight one morning, come over this hill and run right face to face with one of these yellow and black writing spiders.
Yeah.
I mean, I run right in that thing's web, and that sucker was looking me right between the eyes. And so it scared me so bad.
Ricky's so bad, you can just say there's a spider on him and he trips out.
Yeah, I'm that bad. Dude,
he'll go to dancing and screaming and get it.
I tell you what
when I run into that in Chuck, honest to God, I had to turn around and go back to the vehicle because I peed my pants. I sure did. It scared me that bad.
I'm mean to Ricky. I'll take like a stick or something every once in a while if we're walking through the woods, and I'll just kind of rub the back of his neck or something with it. It's just, I'm sorry, Ricky. I'm sorry to torture you, but it's so funny.
No, it's not.
I tell you what'll give you a bigger heart attack than any of that. You walk into the deer stand in the morning, and it's still dark, and you get right smack dab in the middle of a covey of quail, and they flush.
Oh yeah, been there and done that.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did that actually right down here at the end of my driveway here about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was walking Dollar, my little loudmouth dog I got here, and there was a covey of them things flush right in front of me and Dollar. I don't know which one of us it scared the worst. Dollar was trying to run one way, I was trying to run the other.
You know, we used to have a lot of quail around here, but I heard this year, the first 2 bob whites that I've heard in probably 15 years.
Well, that's the way it is here in Calhoun. We used to have them. I mean, man, you used to be able to go out here and walk through these pastures and stuff, and them things scare you to death. I actually used to bird hunt this area, but it's got to the point now. That was actually probably the first covey that me and Dollar flushed down there. Was probably the first bird covey that I've flushed in 10 or 12 years.
Yeah. Hey guys, I hate to cut it short, but I need to get off here.
I'll send y'all them links that I told y'all I'd send you.
All right, guys.
Yeah, please do.
And I'll send y'all that picture that I told you I'd send you.
Yeah, just send
it to me, Chuck.
Yeah.
Just send it to my messenger, man. I'll get it that way.
All right.
All right. Well, everybody, we got kindly off the subject of Bigfoot tonight. On the subject of everything else. That's normally how it goes with us. But,
everybody's probably kind of used to it by now. We typically somehow venture off into random things.
Oh yeah. But Chuck, I want to see that picture. And hey, anything you do like that, dude, when you get finished with it, shoot me a picture of it. I want to see it.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, sure do. Everybody, we want to thank you tonight for being on the show. Blake, you want to go ahead and close out, bud?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Chuck. And always, guys, we can't thank you guys enough for your support. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, the bell notification. Hope everyone has a great weekend. And that's all, Ricky.
All right, everybody, like I said again, I want to apologize for us getting off our Bigfoot subject. But join us next week. We'll be back on the air, and maybe we can actually stick to the subject next week. Chuck, I want to thank you, bud, for being on the show with us tonight. And, man, I will get that shirt out to you. Everybody, Good night and God bless.
See
Night,
y'all.
guys.